Welcome to the Selling to Corporate podcast, where we're going to be challenging your sales beliefs around selling to corporate organizations and help you increase your bottom line profits every single month. I am Jessica Lorimer, your sales expert and guide in this world of selling to corporate companies, skyrocketing your company sales and making the impact that you really want in the world. Now, don't forget, if you do enjoy the show today, please do head over to iTunes and leave us a review. But enjoy this episode, and I am really looking forward to sharing some epic sales wisdom with you. We are at the end of November, and I honestly do not know where this year has gone. I know I say it like every episode, but where has it gone? 2023 has been absolutely insane. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the 500 or so of you who signed up for my recent live webinar. It was my first of 2023. So you can tell it's been a busy year, but it was amazing. Honestly, we had almost 200 people on the webinar live. Obviously, the webinar that I ran recently was about generating your first 100K with corporate clients, and to have almost 200 people there was just phenomenal. And terrifying. I don't know what it is. Put me on a stage and I'm like, yeah, no worries, this is fine. Put me on an online masterclass when the gardeners for the local council turn up and decide to rip up a tree outside my front door, and turns out, bag of nerves. But luckily they did not hit any internet lines and the masterclass went really, really well. If you were there joining me, thank you so much. It was really, really epic to have you on board, and I hope that you got lots from it. We've got a jam-packed episode today. I'm going to be discussing the three major differences between selling B2C and B2B, which is going to be, I think, different. I think you might not expect some of the points that I'm about to make. And FYI, this is not about me bashing B2C revenue streams either. Obviously, I have a B2C revenue stream. I really like it. But I am going to talk about some of the differences and some of the costs that are involved that you might not have considered, and just give you some insights on what you might be thinking about next year when you're planning out your sales plans. And finally, we obviously have launched tickets to Converting Corporates in March. So if you are in London on March 7th and 8th, or even if you're not in London yet on March 7th and 8th, get your plans sorted to be there, because I am running Converting Corporates and it is all focused around financial end of year and financial new year beginning. It is going to be jam-packed with actionable workshops that you can use to generate more revenue from corporate clients in Q1 and Q2. And it's going to be genuinely one of the best events that I put on next year. I say that because next year, this will be the big major event I put on, and it will be the best of that. But it will genuinely be really, really good. I've got some awesome workshops planned around lots of different areas. So we've got workshops that are going to be around using financial year end. We're going to have templates that you can use to help corporate clients to allocate budget to you for financial year end, and to support your corporate clients in allocating budget to your area in their new financial year, which is also really, really important. And I've roped in some of my very good friends and clients to come along and give a hiring manager session. So you're going to be learning from hiring managers in job roles like procurement, operations, HR, and more, to really get an understanding of what hiring managers are looking for, what actually really hacks them off, and what they don't mind when it comes to being pitched to, when it comes to cold approaches, when it comes to being identified and targeted for cold outreach. So if you want to come along to that, it is going to be an epic couple of days. It will be in central London. And if you want the details, you can go to smartleaderscell.thriveCart.com/converting-corporates-March-2024. Or you can just click the link in the show notes, because I think that's a lot easier than me continually saying the link out loud. Although that is something I've seen on podcasts recently, and it has made me go and click links to things. But if you do want to check it out, please make sure that you head over to that link and grab 2 in-person days directly with me, epic workshop sessions that are actionable and implementable with the templates that you need to make them useful on the 2 days and beyond, hiring manager sessions, and obviously getting to spend time in person with other people who are selling or wanting to sell B2B in 2024. If you've heard anything about the Converting Corporates events before, everyone raves about them. Yes, because of the teaching, but also because we supply breakfast and lunch on both days, and they are phenomenal. If you also like good food, I would suggest coming along. But that is smartleadersell.thrivecart.com/converting-corporates-March-2024. Hopefully I will get to see some of you there. Now, I'm actually on a countdown at the moment because in just 3 weeks, I leave to fly to New Zealand. In all honesty, very, very excited to get to New Zealand. If you are a New Zealander and you have recommendations for Christchurch or anywhere around there, please feel free, drop me an email, let me know what I should and shouldn't be seeing. I've had recommendations so far for burger places, which says a lot about what my friends think about me and my hobbies. And I'm going over to see some friends that moved out there a year ago. So my year is coming to a close, and 2023, it's been busy. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it has flown by. It has been super busy. I've got to connect with some amazing people. And actually, I've been doing some amazing things recently that I'll be talking about on future episodes of the podcast. But in terms of being ready for a break, oh yes. I'm wrapping up some big corporate consulting projects at the moment, working on some really cool things actually, which maybe I'll share in another episode if people are interested in the kind of stuff that I do for corporates. But I'm wrapping up on a couple of big consulting projects. I am working with some of my clients to wrap up their years and plan their 2024 sales strategies. And I am just about to host my second Planning 2024 retreat of this year with my second group of people. And if you're thinking, but Jess, I never heard that you were doing planning events, that is because I sold them out before they went to the general public. So I do apologize. And if you are somebody who is interested in attending retreats or anything that I run in the future, drop me a line, let me know. And as and when I arrange things, I will, of course, send them to you as well. Let's dig into today's episode because I promise it is relevant to me going to New Zealand. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I think that when it comes to time off, a lot of us panic when we're business owners. We really worry that we're going to take time off, our business will suddenly go to pot, and it will be really, really difficult to action anything. We might be at risk of losing out on revenue. And at particular times of the year, that can be really, really scary. December, historically, for me, is a really big sales month. And for me, taking almost a month off in one of my biggest sales months could be seen as being dangerous even, and a bit terrifying. And in all honesty, when I started to think about planning my New Zealand trip, I felt a little bit like that, because I think as entrepreneurs, we can get very caught up in we're not supposed to take time off, but also we're supposed to be living this freedom lifestyle that we wanted. And it can be hard sometimes to navigate the two. And that's when I realized that having my B2B revenue stream was so powerful, because having a B2B revenue stream means that I didn't need to worry at all about taking December off. I pre-sold to my corporate clients. I have contracts that are all either signed or in the process of being signed for revenue that will come in December or in January before I deliver for my corporate clients. So I just don't have to worry about it. And the great thing about corporate clients is that I don't need to deliver anything. So whilst a lot of people on the internet right now are kind of freaking out about major sales periods coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Pink Tuesday apparently now is a thing, I'm just not. We welcomed over 20 amazing people into the C-suite earlier this month, which was awesome. But that's it. My corporate clients are all signed, all done. I have no more delivery to do for this year, and I'm super excited about it. And it just means that I can give my brain a full rest between finishing what has been a really busy year and starting what will inevitably be another awesomely busy year. And I wanted to remind you guys of that, because I do think that there is this tendency, like I say, when you're an entrepreneur, to not take time, to almost become indispensable to your clients, corporate or not. And I don't think that that's healthy. And I think that if you are feeling like you're indispensable to your clients, you can't take time off, or your marketing has to be there all of the time, even if you're not. I think that's quite a stressful place to be. In fact, I know that's quite a stressful place to be because I've done it. I've run that business, and it's really crap to go away on holiday and think, oh God, I have to make an Instagram post or do a Facebook Live. You're on holiday, chill out, drink some mojitos or virgin mojitos, whatever. That's why I started thinking about today's episode on the major differences selling B2B and B2C, because I think there are three major differences. Obviously there are hundreds, but I think there are three major ones that might, rather than you thinking, oh, I should listen to this episode and entirely switch my business and never have a B2C revenue stream. It's really not what I'm saying. What I think it might help you consider is, are there times in the year when actually I should be working to get corporate clients so that I can relax, so that I can take time off, so that I can have a revenue stream that maybe funds other parts of my business? And are there things I like to do for fun? So let's dig in and talk about what those three differences are and how you might want to apply them next year. So the first big difference, I think, selling B2C and B2B is obviously marketing. Let's kick off with marketing, because I am actually a very big fan of marketing. I know that some salespeople will tell you that marketing doesn't matter. I don't believe that. And I know that some marketing people will tell you that sales is useless. And that's generally because for two areas that should really work in a holistic way, they often don't. They can be quite competitive, and a lot of salespeople don't really understand what marketers do, and vice versa. The problem that can be caused, I think, in the B2C world versus the B2B world is that we, as a good friend of mine, Bob Gentle, I've been on his podcast a few times, very good, by the way. As a good friend of mine, Bob would say, people often try and market their way out of sales. And I think that is such a good phrase. It's just such a good way of putting it. People try to market themselves out of selling. And that says it all, really, right, for the B2C or business to consumer space. Because when we think about the difference in B2C versus B2B marketing, I call it the funnel versus the pyramid. Okay, so when we're selling to individuals, what we're taught most commonly in the online space, certainly, is that we have to create funnels. And if you can visualize a funnel for me, obviously don't close your eyes if you're driving, that's dangerous, but just take a second to think about a funnel. A funnel obviously is wider at the top. And in B2C marketing, that is because our job is to get as many leads in the top of the funnel as possible. Because as the funnel tightens, as we deliver more value, perhaps through YouTube videos, podcast episodes, webinars, newsletters, free video series, lead magnets, all that kind of stuff, we're supposed to whittle down from vast volumes of unqualified leads to paying buyers. That seems bizarre to me as a salesperson, because as a salesperson, I'm like, that's going to take ages to get to the goal, right? If your goal is make sales, why do you have to do all this other stuff beforehand? And people have told me over the years, and I hear it, like, you have to build know, like, trust, etc., which is fine. But in the B2C space, you have to do it all of the time. It has become common to see people on what I would call the social media hamster wheel. They're just marketing all of the time, giving value all of the time. And essentially they're burning themselves out on marketing before they've even sold anything and way before they've delivered anything, which sucks. But it is the way that B2C marketing goes. So when we talk about selling to consumers, we are talking about funnels. We're talking about getting as many leads as possible in the top of the funnel and going down and progressing them through the customer journey into becoming a paying client. In the B2B space, that's very different. In the B2B space, and if you are unsuccessfully trying to sell B2B at the moment, this could be potentially why. In the B2B space, marketing looks very different, because whilst B2C, we're sat on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, and we're pushing out value all of the time, hoping that the right people will see it. In the B2B space, hiring managers are not sat there thinking, oh yeah, I just wish that I could hire a nutritionist, or oh, I wonder what it would be like to get an executive coach for our leadership program. They're not scrolling LinkedIn thinking that and being like, oh my God, I've just seen Jess's post, I should definitely go and have a chat with her. Because when they're using LinkedIn in their job roles, they're either looking for jobs themselves or they're potentially looking to recruit permanent employees. That's why most stakeholders or decision makers are on LinkedIn. They're not necessarily looking for external suppliers. They're not using the news feed. They're using it as a networking, connection, and relationship building tool. In the B2C world, obviously it's different. Everyone's hanging out in Facebook groups and news feeds and things, looking potentially at things that they might be interested in. One of the things you might have noticed from me recently is that I've actually been playing around on Instagram. One of my good friends, Sam Barefoot, sat me down and was like, look, just because you hate Instagram. And I don't hate Instagram. Like, if you're Mark Zuckerberg and you're listening, I don't hate it. I just don't really get it. I'm not cool enough. Just because you don't like it, it doesn't mean that people on there aren't looking to understand a different way of selling, or it doesn't mean that people on there aren't looking to be able to sell B2B. They just don't know where else to look for the information. I was like, oh yeah, how selfish of me. But even then, I had this huge resentment, being like, oh God, it's just so much effort. And I don't want to be on there all the time. I don't want to be posting 4 times a day, and I don't want to be on TikTok or all the other platforms. But I'm playing with it. Maybe twice a week, I'll do something on there. I probably won't get the results that all the Instagram gurus talk about, because obviously I'm only posting a couple of times a week instead of 4 or 5 times a day, which apparently is how quickly that platform moves. Crazy. The big difference between B2C marketing and B2B marketing is that obviously with B2C, we're looking for volume. With B2B, we move over to what I call that pyramid model. And that is about targeting, identifying, and approaching qualified leads who are most likely to be interested and responsible for the area of specialism that we have, and who control the budget for it. In typical sales fashion, instead of thinking, oh God, let's get all over the internet and hope that the right people see it, we're like, how can we get to the goal in the quickest way? That is, find the people who are the decision makers and go and make it relevant to them. Instead of having mass marketing that's generic and the kind of hope and desire that people see it, we're just approaching the people that we know are going to be relevant for it immediately. And that cuts out a lot of time, cuts out a lot of energy. Yes, you do a bunch of proactive outreach on whatever platform you feel. And I've got episodes on cold email marketing and LinkedIn and the differences, etc. But it gives you control, gives you a predictable process. And once you've been through that process a couple of times, you can actually identify where you need to troubleshoot, where you need to tweak, where you need to make things better or more efficient, and what's working really, really well. It's much more controllable, much more predictable form of marketing. And you also don't need paid advertising to sell B2B. So reduces your cost base, because over time, B2C, because you have to build that volume of audience, because the buying percentages are different, you find that you have to go into paid advertising. And that is a costly endeavor. Says somebody that recently got her Facebook ads reinstated after 4 years of arguing with Facebook about it. So it can be a costly, time-consuming, endeavor. Now, the second way that selling B2B is different than B2C is when we start talking about offers. Offers are an interesting thing. When we talk about offers B2C, it's really interesting to me because in the B2C space, the business to consumer space, we are taught that offers come before sales. What typically happens, if you've worked with most business coaches, you will find that they take you through week 1, who's your ideal client? Week 2, what are you going to write on your website? Week 3, your overall messaging for other parts of your website or your social media. And then they go, right, now you need to create an offer. And I don't have a problem with this, B2C, because in the B2C space, we are focusing on creating an offer that is generic for a mass market. Essentially, we're taking your expertise and we're saying, what is it that you want to teach people? What's going to make the difference for them? And relying on your expertise to do that. Through the major mass marketing that will then happen, and the promotion that will then happen around that offer, and the launches and everything that you need to sell that offer successfully in a B2C environment, you will start hopefully selling some. But it's that B2C market is very much focused on create your offer first. It's also very much focused on create as many offers as possible. I don't really dip into the online space these days, but I have lots of friends who are really, really successful in the online marketing industry. They're coaches, they're running product-based businesses and doing amazing, amazing things. And they all have a lot of patience, and they all have a lot of love for social media that I just don't. It's why we do very different things. One of the biggest things that I notice is that people who are selling B2C in the online marketing space, they're having to release new offers all the time. It's just constant. Every month, sometimes every week, there are offers coming out from people. And it really dilutes their brand, in my opinion. And this is my opinion, so please don't all get upset and be like, oh God, Jess hates marketing. I really don't. I love marketing. I love very good marketing. What I don't love is this idea that everyone has to create all these offers all the time and fulfill them all the time, because how do people actually get better at delivering these things? There are people out there, and this is what drives me insane about this multiple offer method that I see, who are selling an offer every week, and potentially some of the same people are buying it. And from a sales perspective, just an FYI, I have no problem with people making money, all cool. But from an offers perspective, if you're bringing out all these offers all the time, how are you making that offer better? How are you making it more likely that people get better results each time? That's what interests me. That's what frustrates me sometimes. I've been obviously selling the C-suite for 4 years now. And every year I've made it better and better and better. And it took 3 years of me running it live before I even thought about self-study, because for me, I wanted to make sure that we did the right things by our clients, that we continue to get a really high success rate. So I went through the accreditation processes and I had hundreds of people go through this offer. And I looked at what are the frequently asked questions? What are the things that come up time and again? How can we make it better in terms of explaining things or getting people to implement differently? And I did that for 4 years. I'm not saying everyone has to spend 4 years on an offer, like some people spend a lot quicker times on it. I am saying that there should be a commitment to your clients getting results. And in the B2C world, when people are selling loads of offers all the time, I wonder what that commitment is. I wonder how they're trialing it and testing it and tweaking it and making it better and making it more likely to get results and perhaps accrediting things to give people the best learning experience. I do. I wonder that because I bought a lot of stuff as a consumer and some things have been amazing and some things haven't. And I do believe that that comes down to the fact that the B2C world is very much prioritizing your offer and creating your offer first, and then never really doing anything about it again. There's no market research from a lot of people. The only market research that people are doing is in to sell it. You'll often see posts on Facebook or whatever being like, hey, would you be interested if I put out an offer on this? There's no market research happening with people to be like, okay, cool. Why aren't you able to implement in this area? What could you be doing differently? Or what areas do you think are really keeping you stuck before anyone makes an offer? It's just not happening. I'm not going to rant about it anymore. Essentially, the big difference is that B2C is very much focused on creating that offer first, creating it to be generic to meet a mass market need, and then selling as many of them as possible through your funnel or through a launch method. B2B isn't. B2B is not about creating offers first. And I can't say this often or strongly enough. People who create offers first in their B2B business take longer to sell. It's not because the offer isn't great, the offer could be. But often it's because when we create offers, we get very much in our heads, we work in a vacuum around it, and we don't have any feedback from clients who would be potential buyers on that offer or how it might work. That can be quite difficult to sell, as we experience in both the B2C and B2B world. The biggest difference, though, is that if you want to sell in an easier, simpler, higher ticket way, B2B, then it's not about creating your offers first. It's about booking as many sales calls as possible, focusing on good diagnostics, so understanding what their problem is, helping them to self-identify that that problem is causing them issues and has clear consequences, and co-creating offers that they are bought into, engaged with, and that you understand the practicalities of. And I'm going to outline this a little bit more clearly. So for example, in the B2C world, we might say, hey, look, I'm doing this group program. It's going to be for 10 people. It's going to cover this, 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 this. In the B2B world, especially when you're starting out, you want to be co-creating the offer. Because if you go to a stakeholder and you say, hey, look, you've got this problem and I think my offer here meets the need, it's for 10 people, and it's going to cover this, 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 they might go, we've got more than 10 people. What do we do now? Or, oh, okay, is it price per person? In that case, we want to put 3 people through it and not 10. They might say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. But we've got some people who don't have this, this, and this issue. So what about those people? What do we do about them? And suddenly we go from having an offer that we feel good about and selling to being like, oh God, now I've got this offer, but I can only on those sales calls be asking questions that might help me sell that offer. I can only look for keywords or buzzwords that indicate that they want this offer and not anything else that I might provide. And that means you miss out on sales opportunities. It means that you miss out on building great relationships with clients. It means that you miss out on diagnosing potentially bigger issues that you could fix, that you could give more transformation to your clients to, and that you could charge premium prices for. Being offer focused at the start of your B2B journey is going to take you much longer to sell. It's going to be much harder work, and you're probably going to have to go back and redo it or revamp it anyway as you start having sales calls with corporate clients. So save yourself the hassle, just do one bit at a time. Focus on offers when you need to, and that is after you've had sales calls. And then finally, I think one of the biggest differences between B2B and B2C sales is when we start talking about impact and delivery. Now, I don't know about you, but I came out of my corporate job feeling relatively deflated. It wasn't I didn't love my corporate job. I really did. I tell people this all the time. I was obsessed with my corporate job. I thought I was going to be in it forever. I honestly was a fully paid up member of the Briefcase and Stiletto and having a BlackBerry crew. And I really, really loved it. And my health meant that I just couldn't do it anymore. I burnt out. My body couldn't do it. And working part-time wasn't an option. And I remember I cried when I left my job. I was genuinely devastated about it because I thought that I was on the track. I was going to be a sales director at a FTSE 100 company. I was going to have a corner office that looked out over Canary Wharf or something. And obviously that isn't how my life panned out. Don't get me wrong, I'm incredibly happy and I don't think I would have loved that life. But in that moment, I could never have imagined myself going back to work with companies because I just felt like I'd been let down by the system that I'd worked really, really hard in. And I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand how I could make money for organizations. And then when I needed a solution, they were like, yeah, no, that's changed. The world's really changed. And perhaps if I had been 10 years later with a diagnosis, with the way that companies are focusing on change now, with the way that companies are focusing on well-being now, maybe I would have ended up with a corner office. Maybe I'd have been the first part-time sales director in history or something that wasn't on parental leave. But it isn't how it worked out. And for most people who listen to this podcast, you have similar feelings or have had similar feelings about working with corporate clients in the past, right? Because most people don't leave their corporate jobs because they love them so much. We leave them generally because either we are forced to in some way or because they no longer meet our needs for fulfillment or finances or purpose or whatever. So most people who start their own businesses, who become service-based entrepreneurs, they leave corporate companies never wanting to see the inside of an office again. They cannot imagine selling back to organizations. That's normal. And what happens is that we come out of the corporate world. Some of us develop new skills. So some people retrain. Maybe they worked in finance before and then they go and do an awesome nutrition qualification or they become a fertility expert or whatever. But we come out of that corporate space and we head into the online marketing realm, because whilst any qualification or certification body is great at teaching you the actual specialism, i.e. nutrition, marketing, health and well-being, mental health, etc., they're not great at teaching you how to market and or sell. So most people do fall into the kind of Facebook group world and end up either on Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is finding online marketing. And we're taught then that impact is about working one-to-one. And then when you have got to capacity with one-to-one, it's about small group programs or selling a huge group program. And that's cool. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money, as we've talked about with marketing and getting enough people in the funnel and having enough volume of audience and content creation, all that kind of thing. But we are taught that that is the way that you build a B2C business, and it's the way that impact is created. One-to-one, small groups, larger groups, passive. We're also taught that corporates don't care about their people, that they don't want to make a positive impact. And we kind of, I think, fall into this trap as entrepreneurs where we start reading the news and stuff and we're like, oh God, companies just, they're not doing anything positive for anybody, which again, normal. But we start to get this negative feeling about organizations that perhaps we've had from our experience with organizations, and then it just develops and develops. And I think it's a real shame because one, it's keeping people stuck into B2C models that don't necessarily serve them. If you work in traditional business areas, for example, like project management, change management, operations, marketing, sales to some degree, it can actually be really difficult to sell B2C because people will say, no, I don't need to implement systems and processes. What I need is just luxury marketing. And you can sit there all day long and tell somebody who's very, very bright, no, you really do need those processes because at some point your business is going to grow and then it's going to cause a problem. And they will swear on their desk chair, their favorite desk chair, that they just don't need it and that they're just going to focus on something else for now. Again, it's normal. It's normal human behavior because people want to buy what they want to buy. They want to buy what makes them feel good. They want to self-diagnose, etc. It's not a problem. Unless you're trying to sell to them, in which case it is a problem because it really impacts revenue, your stress levels, and obviously the success of your business. With corporate companies, they've changed drastically over the last 15 years. It's been really interesting. And since the pandemic, they've changed even more, which is really, really interesting because companies are changing as a result of the environment around them. For example, the pandemic and the issues that brought up with health, safety, workplace behavior, culture, and more. And also because of the generational gap, that the generations of people who are now going to work for corporate organizations. I get a lot of stick for being a millennial, and I watch a lot of millennial videos or videos about millennials that are hilarious. Also, side note, don't know when Skinny Jean died, but I still really like them. But the generation below me are now going into the workplace and they have needs. And they're not afraid to say things like, we want more time off. We want more well-being strategies. We want to have good work-life balance. We don't want to work every hour that is sent to us. We don't want to be beholden to a BlackBerry on a night out. We just want to finish at 5 and leave and not think about it again until 9 o'clock next day. And this generation is different, which means that corporate companies are having to change drastically and quickly to accommodate those things because they need recruitment strategies. They need to retain existing employees. They need to make sure that they are being a place to work that people actually want to work in, because otherwise they'll have no employees. They will make no money and it will be very, very difficult, right? So when we talk about impact, which I do believe is a big conversation, B2B versus B2C, we can understand that corporate companies are changing and they are trying to make a better impact on their people. They are implementing wellbeing strategies in a way that they've never done before. They are supporting employees with areas outside of work in ways that they've never done before. They're also trying to impact the world differently. Most corporate organizations now have clear commitments to sustainability initiatives. They didn't have that before. If you look at product-based businesses, for example, most product-based organizations are focusing on ethical sourcing, which they didn't do before. Most oil and gas companies are looking for sustainable ways to continue to provide energy. Companies that historically sold what we would call bad products, the tobacco industry, for example, are completely changing. They're bringing in alternatives that they believe, I don't know the science behind it, but that they believe will be less of a problem. And finally, you delivering inside corporate organizations makes a big difference. It makes far more of an impact because usually when you're going in to deliver to a corporate, you are going in to deliver to multiple people at once. And those people work as part of teams. So indirectly, you impact the teams that they work in. Indirectly, you also impact their families who may experience better family relations, family life. When those people go home, they're less stressed or whatever. And you impact future teams that person goes on to lead or to work as part of. Impact, when we look at it in terms of our own fulfillment and in terms of creating genuine impact for the most people possible, is much more achievable when we sell B2B rather than B2C. Because in order to achieve the same level of impact B2C, we have to do the other things. We have to have the extensive marketing. We have to build the high volume of audience. We have to do all those things before we can have a best-selling book, before we can impact millions, before we can maybe get on a TED stage or whatever. Those things are quite important. Audience is quite important for creating impact, for selling B2C, or having a high volume of audience is important for that. Whereas when we sell B2B, we are focusing on targeting, identifying and approaching the right decision makers for our area. We're posing the right solutions for them that are going to make the biggest difference. And the impact comes as part of our delivery. And it just happens naturally because we're not looking to build the biggest audience possible. We're not spending all of our time on marketing and or sales activities. We're spending our time on some sales activities and then having the time to make our delivery as epic as we possibly can. So those are the three big differences I find about B2C and B2B businesses and selling in those areas. As always, if you have thoughts, feel free, drop me a line, jessica@jessicalorimer.com, and let me know. What do you think? Do you think it was true? Do you think there are other areas? Like I say, there are hundreds of things, hundreds of differences that I could have talked about today, but those are the key ones. And obviously, if you've listened to this episode and thought, actually, yeah, I do need to start selling B2B, or I need to do it more consistently, and I want Jess's help, make sure you go and check out Converting Corporates. It's going to be an epic 2 days. Like I say, it will be in London, and it will give you actionable, practical, implementable sessions and templates to use that you can approach corporate clients with in Q1, in Q2 next year to help you make the best use of financial year end and financial new year beginning. So that is at smartleadersell.com/converting-corporates-March-2024. And I will see you in the next episode that we have coming up. It's an awesome case study episode with a client of mine, Gemma, where we'll be talking about how you can emotionally detach yourself from your sales process and get better results. I'll see you then.